Okay, good morning. So it's time to read some stupid comments today, and they're not really stupid comments. I mean, everybody's got an opinion. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and sometimes you're an asshole. Sometimes you have an opinion. But anyways, okay. So I'm going to start this out by saying, look, what I am doing is not for everybody. Okay, and I haven't made it so that I have said that everybody should be doing this, and if I have, well, I misspoke because I don't want everybody to do this. I really don't. I don't want everybody to do this. I don't think that people should do this if they don't feel comfortable doing it. Do I feel comfortable doing it? What I'm doing? No, not really. But I was going to say, there's a funky looking thing there. It looks like a death decree. Anyway, yeah, do I feel comfortable doing it? No, but I live in uncomfortable. I put myself out here every day, or almost every day, where people criticize and ostracize and actually um, compliment and comment in here. And sometimes a video gets put up that sparks a conversation and sometimes I need to respond. Now, do these comments bother me? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but for the most part, no. I just find it entertaining at times to read them, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to drink from my stainless steel cup. It's water in there. And yeah, it is, 8 o'clock in the morning. I am a little bit late today. So I won't, I guess I could read the names of the commenters, not that it matters, but it said, I see some secret sauce on my lips. I don't know what that means, but anyway, yeah. Hopefully this turns out better than your custom straw baling career did. Okay, so that actually bothers me a little bit, and I'm going to tell you why it bothers me a little bit. The custom straw baling career, it really wasn't a career. It was something that we did to make money. That's what we do as farmers. And there's a lot of people out there that would never have even tried it, right? And we tried it, and we enjoyed it. Actually, right now we would be packing up to head south. They're getting ready to bale or to combine their wheat down in North Carolina. The custom straw baling career would have paid better if the consistency of the buyers were there. But the consistency of the buyers weren't there. There was an erosion mat company that was cranking full force, that was buying straw from reliable sources, and those reliable sources, fed them straw. Then they got picky, and then tarps had to be put on, and that's why I was tarping wheat straw in North Carolina, because the people that were contracting me to bale the straw were, had intentions of selling it down there. And then, of course, the next administration comes through the door, and bada bing, bada boom, no more pipelines. We're not going to put pipelines in because pipelines pollute, and but whatever. So that's kind of what happened there, and the price of fuel and baling twine and equipment and labor and food and everything went up in the last 18 to 20 months, or however long it's been. 18 months since the administration that's in office right now took over. So yeah, there was a lot of things that went into the decision to not do the custom straw baling. There was unreliable contractors, or customers or people that were going to contract me to do this. They were unreliable. Not so much the mushroom barn. Had a fight with getting paid. The first year was no big deal. The second year was a big deal. Well, no. The first and the second year was a big deal. It took me a long time to get paid. Invoiced them, finally get paid, and it's like, well, Okay. Last year, there was some disputes over bale counts. And even though there were disputes over bale counts, I did not care. This is what you got 10 days. And last year I got paid pretty quickly because I put my foot down and I wanted to be paid. I didn't get paid on the 10th day. I got paid on the 11th day. So that wasn't so bad. So Robert Vetter, I agree. I hope this works out better than my straw baling career, because basically the inputs or the return on investment diminished to the point where it wasn't worth doing it. And I saw that before I made the decision to take delivery on the new baler that I ordered, and canceled the straw baling, because it just wasn't going to pay enough in the end. That's what happened. So same thing with this. Okay. There's a lot of praising in here. It's like, love your content, it's very informative, just keep doing what you do and prove your naysayers wrong. Well, naysayers or not, I really don't care what people think about what I'm doing. I am passionate and excited about doing this because I know it's going to work. Here's a weird one. And this is a weird one. Do you have anywhere to store water, irrigate with later in the season? We store water over winter and use it in the summer for irrigation. The worms also help moisture and air penetrate the soil, but it's the air component that is important because a lot of microbes in the soil breathe oxygen. Anyways, good work. Yeah, it's true, but no, I don't store water. We get like 45 inches a year here, so water's really not a problem until mid-August. Keep it real, Wes. I find it interesting. I only farm as a hobby. Scale about 80 acres. I've been planting rye, crimson tillage, radish covers for the last 2 years, trying to stop erosion and reduce inputs. You see, that's what it's all about, right? This Matt Crowell, this is why I'm doing this. Okay? This is why I'm doing this. To reduce inputs. It definitely helps. Rye definitely works like a sponge and pulls moisture out of the soil. I'm able to get in the fields that were muddy when they were bare soil, and it holds moisture better in dry times of the year. Thank you. All right. Crimson clover does well with rye, but I haven't had success with the tillage radishes. Well, tillage radishes need a little more time if you were to sow your tillage radishes and then after wheat, and not so much after corn or beans because the growing season is quite short there. And they grow fast, but not that fast. Here's one. I am in no way poo-pooing your ideas. I figured out our soils are not healthy over 30 years ago. I myself don't think organic is the answer. I'm watching what you're doing, and I'm playing myself. Bottom line is we can't continue exporting our soil through crop sales. Need to find a profitable balance. Now, I am not going organic. Okay, Greg Koenig. I am not going organic. I'm not going organic. I still will use nitrogen and compost. The compost has a nitrogen element to it, plus it's got NPK and micronutrients with it, and my secret sauce has iron and other elements into it as well that will feed the soil. That's what I want to do. I want to feed the soil so the soil feeds the plant. Regenerative agriculture or regenerative farming is basically the plants that are there, and they pull nutrients from the soil. See, the soil is full, and I mean full, of inorganic nutrients. Phosphate, potassium, microbes like zinc, copper, sulfur. It's there. Calcium is there. It's in an inorganic form, and it needs to be broken down, mineralized, from its inorganic form to an organic form, and that is where regenerative agriculture gets its name. So by feeding the microbiome in the soil using different plant species through cover crops, and to feed your monoculture or your cash crop, is where we're at, is what we're doing. So and there's a comment in here that I'm going to just tear apart because this guy he's an idiot. He called me an idiot, so he's an idiot, but that's okay. I'm not an idiot. I really am not. I've done due diligence here. I've done the research, and I'm not drinking the fertilizer plant's Kool-Aid, okay? If you want to drink the fertilizer plant's Kool-Aid, I will tell you why you shouldn't. And if you do, that's okay, because that's your choice. We still live in a free country here, as last I checked. So, organic is not what I'm doing. I am doing regenerative agriculture. I still will be using herbicides, residuals, and contact, and I will also be using nitrogen to feed the nitrogen necessary to the crops as required. So if I can't, this is my first year, second year, I may be able to reduce on some of the acres, and hopefully within 5 years I can reduce it down to minimum nitrogen inputs. I will never sacrifice a crop due to my brain saying, you're doing this because the guys on YouTube said you would fail. No, I'm not going to sacrifice a crop. I will be using a Brix meter, which measures sugar in the leaves or in the plants, what's being taken up. What it's lacking is a little different, and I will be using a SPAD meter. The SPAD meter is a bit expensive. It's made by Minolta, and that will also tell me a lot about what's going on within the plant. So when soil or tissue analysis will also tell me that, so I will be doing that as well. So it's not organic, it's just a different way of, it's using organic biomass to to feed the microbiome, to break down the inorganic fertilizers. And inorganic fertilizer is what you're spreading on your soil. You go down to the fertilizer plant, you buy NPK, right? Nitrogen comes from the air. It takes natural gas to break that nitrogen molecule apart to make it into a chemical form or commercial form of nitrogen. Phosphate and potassium are mined from the soil. They are inorganic forms. They need to become organic forms. You need a microbiome to do that. There is fertilizer in your soil that 2 generations ago put there. And that's a fact. If you don't believe me, I can't help you unless you do your own research, but that's okay. Anyways, very interesting your operation play out. And to paraphrase Ron Swanson, never do anything half-assed. Do one thing whole-assed. You're doing whole-ass farming. Good on you. Well, there you go. I am not doing anything half-assed here. I have done my research. And I know this stuff works because I've done it in the past not knowing that I was doing it. And you take a fallow field, you plant corn or beans into it, and it's like the best you've ever done. The next year it's not so good. By the 3rd year you're back down to why. Now I know why they freaking dropped this place. Yeah, because I plowed it up. No tilt through it, fine. Next year plowed it up, introduced a bunch of oxygen. All the carbon that was stored in the soil then gets chewed up by the bacteria and the microbes, and the fungus is no longer alive because the bacteria ate the fungus faster than it could grow because there was nothing there to keep it going. Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, we've done that. Everybody's done that. This one here cracked me up too. Maybe that, yeah. Oh, somebody removed the comment. Caustic soda comment. We can only hope they are that gullible. Well, I really don't want anybody to jump into a caustic soda bath, but that really pissed a guy off. I thought it was funny. Wesley, you're going nuts. Now turn the hat back around before your dad does it for you. Hey Wes, I want to mention Australia lady by name, and are you certain that it's not an alter ego of Georgina Spelvin? So sorry I had to do that. I don't know who Georgina Spelvin is. Who the hell's that? No idea. What does your dad think? Dad is like, this is stuff that we knew when I was a kid. This is the rotations we did when I was a kid. Cover crops are a nightmare this year with all the rain we've gotten. True. Roundup won't kill hemp dogbane. It does. I'm going to tell you how it does. It'll kill it if you cover it with a surfactant that breaks down through that waxy layer of plant. The plant has waxy layer. You're right if you just use regular Roundup on top of it without a surfactant or a stiction agent. But yeah, it will kill it. I've killed it successfully. Wes, you're honestly one of the most knowledgeable people I know. I've just read a lot of stuff, watched a lot of videos. I'm putting into practice what I have learned, and I'm trying to drag people along with me. There's a lot of people that had enough of this channel because of that, which is fine, because if they're not interested in what I do, I'm not going to cater to them to make them interested. I'm sure in the fall or midsummer in the fall, or when I fail or succeed, they're either going to be like, huh, it's a fluke. Next year he'll be flat on his face, because that's the way people are. When people do something that is not the way they would do it, it's either no good, or you're crazy, or when you do succeed, it's, yeah, well, he won't succeed again next year. Every year is different, which is true. Let's go, Brandon. Well, for one, I hope it works out for you. Me too. Going to need a lot of bin space. Well, that's true, but I don't know. Most farmers switching will find they put all their cash from selling off plows, discs, etc. into upgrading their planter. My planter has been a limiting factor for me this year, but I got what I could get, so I could put seed in the ground. Next year I will upgrade. Perhaps a broken down 7000 to repair. I know of some good walkthrough videos with your yields may be down some from before, but your profits are going to be way up. Keep us in the loop. So I didn't finish that comment. That's the whole thing. Okay, so when we set yield goals for ourselves, right? I've done it. I did it last year as well. I set a yield goal. Did I hit my yield goal? No. Did I try to buy that yield goal? Yes, 100%. What do I mean by buying a yield goal? So when you, let me get my, well, I can't get it out, a piece of paper. When you set a yield goal for yourself, okay, so, okay, if I got perfect weather and I want a yield goal of 250 bushels to the acre, pretty common number anymore. 250 bushels of corn to the acre in general practice is 1.2 units of nitrogen per bushel of corn that you would like to get, right? Pretty common practice. Nobody's going to argue that, but there you go. So 1.2 units of nitrogen per bushel of corn. So you need 250 bushels or 250 units of nitrogen to produce that, right? Now you need plus 0.2, so 275 to 300 units, 275 units of nitrogen. Just let's keep the numbers round for argument's sake. So 275 units of nitrogen to produce 250 units of corn, or bushels of corn. You're also going to need phosphate and potassium, right? Even if your soil test shows that you got high levels of phosphate in the soil, doesn't mean that it's all available to your soil or to your plant. And the same thing with potash. Potash, oh my God, potash. So by the time you put this in, you're putting down, and I will use my numbers, 620 units, or 620 pounds of 23 sulfur, with sulfur. and boron. So you've put 620 pounds of that to the acre. I've seen some people go to 800 and even 1,000 pounds of that particular blend, or something similar to that blend. And yeah, so with the nitrogen at 275 units and the potash and the phosphate, you're trying to buy a yield. Are you going to hit that yield? Well, we could have a week without rain, or we could have a week of really cold weather when it's supposed to be emerging through the soil, and it doesn't. We could have all these issues, which rob yield. We could have rain events for 2 weeks like we're having right now, which puts us planting 2 weeks later, and you're still got that yield goal. We're still going to get that yield goal. We've already bought the fertilizer. It's already applied. We're going to get it. And so you buy that. You're trying to buy a yield. Well, through regenerative ag or limited input farming, if you can reduce your inputs by using different cover crops to break down that inorganic nutrient to an organic form, then you're money ahead. So instead of it costing you 175 bushels of corn to produce, now money-wise, 170, your break even on every acre is 175 bushels of corn, or you just say 175. I think last year was like 165 bushels of corn. It was my break even. That was my break even with equipment and everything. 165 or 67 bushels. It was ridiculous. So just say this year it's going to be 185 or even more. You're still looking at that yield goal of 250, but the variables are what are going to screw you up. So you got 175 bushels, and input 175 bushels. Just use 175 bushels of input, break even, and you only get 200 bushels back. I only got 25 bushels. That's got to pay for hauling, drying, storage, tires, broken combines, all that shit. That's where that goes, in that 25 bushels. So you do 1,000 acres and you profit 25,000 bushels. Well, 25,000 bushels, $150,000, right? Well, sounds good, right? But wouldn't you rather make your break even 100 bushels less, at say 75 bushels to the acre and a break even, and get a 150 bushel yield with a yield goal of 160, and you get 150 because averaging. I'm using averaging, so from 100 to 250, but if I do 160 and I get 150 or 145 bushels, let's just say 150 for shits and giggles. So 75, that's $75 of profit. What have I lost? Bragging rights that I didn't hit 250 or 300 bushels? What have I lost? I haven't lost anything. I've gained. I haven't had to hook to a chisel plow. I haven't had to hook to a disc harrow. I haven't had to hook to a roller harrow. I haven't had to, so those are three things I didn't have to do. I didn't have to go over that field once with a chisel plow, twice with a disc, and once with a roller harrow. Well, that was nice. So I saved a bunch of money in fuel. So that break even at $75, which is, I'm right, not quite $70 break in. That's what my pencil was. But I've had to buy a residual herbicide now at $17.50 an acre. So $17.50 an acre. So that's putting me at 80. Just say $80, $80. My yield goal would be 160. I may be higher, I may be lower. My yield goal is 160. So, yeah, I'm still in that 70, 80 bushel range of profit to work with, which is much better than trying to buy a 250 bushel yield or a 300 bushel yield. The more you put in to push your yield, and the sooner people realize that yield does not equal profit, then it's a better place to live. So, and these videos are not made to force anybody to do anything. But yeah, here's one. I think he's lost his mind. There's nothing wrong with no-till, but saying weeds are helping him is just crazy. Okay, so that's a comment that needs to be done. It's like his thought process is letting believe the weeds are pulling out moisture so he can get on the land quicker to seed it and also preventing erosion, but all those weeds are pulling nutrients out also. Spread fertilizer in whatever form to allow weeds to grow. Not smart. Okay, so here we go. So that was a response to the one guy. So first part of this comment is I've lost my mind. There's nothing wrong with no-till, but saying weeds are helping him is just crazy. Okay, so what do the weeds do? All right, the weeds are a response to what's going on in your soil. Okay, there are three things that will trigger a weed response or a response in the growth, what covers your ground. A, the ground needs to be covered. There's nowhere in nature other than a glacier, a desert, or a frozen tundra that the ground is not covered by something. In a frozen tundra, the ground is covered by snow, ice, snow, things like that. In the desert, you have some cactus and things like that, things that will live in an arid place. Glaciers just shear everything off, floods and stuff like that. So first thing is Mother Nature, or nature itself, wants to cover that soil. So that soil has a seed bank in it that is thousands of years old. There are seeds that can live in the soil up to 2,000, 3,000 years without growing. They just do. It's called a seed bank, and if you don't know, you can look it up. So moisture and temperature are the other two things that will trigger the weeds to grow. So why does a weed grow? Well, the weed grows to cover the soil. Why does it want the soil covered? Because the microbiome, the fungus, mycorrhizal fungi, or the rhizosphere, where all this, we'll just call it the rhizosphere. The rhizosphere needs to form and make that soil live again. So the weed that responds starts that process. It shades. It allows microbes to grow. It allows fungus to grow. And then other things can live off of that and grow from that. So that's what weeds are there for. They are pulling nutrients, most like a thistle, those thistles, cockleburs, hemp dogbane is a rhizome that lives close to the top of the soil, but those deep-rooted plants, they're going deep to exude carbohydrates and carbon to make the microbes go deeper into the soil to break down the inorganic nutrients that are there to bring them to the surface. Now, by saying that the weeds are pulling out moisture so he can get on the land quicker, I never said that I could get on the land quicker with weeds, but it is preventing erosion. That is a fact. And those weeds are pulling nutrients out also, which is a fact. Okay, so what happens to the nutrients that those weeds pull out? Where does it go? Does it go off in fairy farts? Is that how it goes? No. It goes into that plant. It produces a seed. It produces biomass, a stalk and leaves. When that plant reaches maturity and it dies, it falls over. The microbes get onto it. The bacteria and the microbes, they all break it down into its raw elements. They poop it out or exude it from them. And that is where your organic nutrients come from. And that is what the next generation, the regeneration of the next group of weeds is. Weeds are not what I want to have, but they're there. So they're not terrible. So I will kill them off. I will use a residual herbicide to maintain those weeds, and if I do have to go back in with a contact herbicide, I will do that to suppress or to remove those weeds from my cash crop. And then next year, or this fall, when I put my cover crop down, that will keep the temperature of the soil cooler. It will exude carbohydrates and pull carbon through photosynthesis and put it down into the soil, which will feed the microbiome, which will then produce everything that I need for the cash crop the next year. That's how regenerative ag works. I understand, David Mork and David Logel. You don't understand what I'm talking about, and that's why I'm trying to explain it to you. Weeds can, you got to stop looking at them as something that needs to die. It's something that is there for a reason, and it is doing a job that it is intended to do. That job is to mend your soil. It's a weed because we don't want it there. It is a plant in nature because it's there to do a job. So I hope I explained that well enough, and I thought your comment was kind of funny. But yeah, you need a microphone because your camera volume is fine. I understand it. I agree. Send me $200 and I will get the wireless microphone for this. $200 is what I need to do that, and I would love to do it. I would love to have them. It is a set of two, so I can put one on Tim, one on William, one on me, one on Teresa, and we can have a conversation. But there, yeah. So this guy, John Hatt, still doing the straw stuff. Farmer 1-1. No, he's talking regen over and over and over and over and over. So Farmer 1-1, you're welcome to leave if you don't like what you see. It's fine. Oh Christ, not again. Just let us know how it works out. Every video is the same. Okay. We work on seasons, right? So we work on seasons, and every farm channel that's out there, including myself, is doing the same thing over and over and over again. So it's springtime, time to get the planter out. Springtime, time to get the disc out. Springtime, time to get the plow out. Springtime, time to get the cultivator out. Springtime, time to put fertilizer down. We're all doing the same shit. The difference is, I am doing something a little different, and you don't like it. So, whatever. Anyway, whoever said you set yourself up for disaster is someone who has never done anything with farming. Yeah, I could kind of agree with that, but love what you're doing. It will pay off. Can't wait to see you succeed. Well, thank you for the kind words. My fingers are crossed. Yeah. Yeah, that one guy, he removed his comment because he was just a total dickhead. But I really wanted to read that. Caustic soda lie, lovely for the skin. The party that hates big business needs someone like Bill Gates or Big Bird to tell them what to flock to. That's true. Yeah, that was the comment that I really wanted to Oh, here's one. Shame you have to end the video joking about killing Dems. You must hate Bush for the gas prices after 9/11 as well. You know a little about soil science now, but pretty much have negative knowledge about how politics and world economics work. No, actually, I've listened to enough people like you to tell me that the last administration screwed it up so bad that the next administration looks like they screwed it up. But yet, they're there at their desk on day one signing shit called executive orders, which shouldn't really even be allowed because executive orders bypasses the checks and balances that are known as the Senate, the House, and the judiciary and the executive branches. See, all four of those branches need to work together. The House and the Senate write and pass laws to go to the president, and the president, if he signs it into law and then somebody sues and says it's unconstitutional, that's when the judiciary branch gets involved and says, sorry, but that's unconstitutional, done. You know, like, yeah, so I have no idea how it works. No, I don't know how it works. I know that we fought wars in a place known as the Middle East because of oil. And why were we fighting for oil when we have oil right beneath our feet that could have been drilled and pull up from our own soil instead of making ragheads wealthy while we're all sitting here like a bunch of dumbasses wondering why we're sending our children to fight wars over oil. And now, hey, whatever. I know a hell of a lot more than you'll ever admit to knowing, so there you go. Anyways, and Democrats or the liberal ideology, and I'm not just saying Democrats, I'm just saying the liberal ideology is a disease. It's taught in our schools. And yeah, did you know that Bill Gates donated a bunch of computers for public schools that have facial recognitions and to protect Common Core education? Yeah, Common Core education, that bullshit that doesn't teach our kids anything other than to be secretive, lying, manipulative little cunts. Yeah, those computers have facial recognition. So when mom and dad take that child's computer, the little iPad looking thing, tablet, the Microsoft tablet or whatever it is, and they go to look at the kids' schoolwork, doesn't recognize mom and dad's face. And it shuts down. So mom and dad really don't have a choice as to what your kids are being taught. So yeah, go drink the Kool-Aid, idiot. Wes, I think you're on the right track. Hope you get to see you succeed. I hope so too. Do you plan on harvesting any rye? No, I don't. I didn't have enough rye to harvest. I'm going to kill it off. As the story tells you, pioneers has always been brave individuals, headstrong maybe, but always going against the grain. But if you never try, you will never know. In these times, lots of people are trying to stay ahead of the game. More power to you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the negative comments too. I mean, people, yeah, it's okay. Negative comments get a response, and I think that's what everybody wants. Pandy, I might disagree with you on a lot of stuff. I meant that I like to give you hell, but at the end of the day, I agree with you. Everything what you're doing, keep up, no-till. I think it will pay in the long term. I do too. It has to be done right. I did no-till in the past when I was younger. And for all you young fellas out here that are watching this or listening to this as like a podcast or whatever, it's experience. The older you get, the more experiences you have, the more you can pull up from back here to the forefront of your brain and say, hey, you know what? 25 years ago I did this and I did it this way and it didn't work out very well. So I'm just going to, a little bit of patience, maybe a little bit of, forethought, maybe, like 25 years ago, 30 years ago, yeah, I'm getting old now. 30 years ago when I was like 20, planting corn, 19 years old, planting corn and it was wet. And, well, if you put corn in the ground wet and it gets hard, it has a hard time to come up, right? So what did I do? I shallowed it up and couldn't understand why the yield was terrible. It was terrible because I shallowed it up. I only put the seed in, skinned it in about an inch deep. And now I know that seed corn needs to be no less than 2 inches deep. Because if it's less than 2 inches deep, that changes the nodes, it changes the root structure, it changes the ear set, it changes a lot of things in the plant. So fast forward 30 years to now, and yeah, I could plant 3 days ago, but it would have been too wet, and I know better than to plant too wet on our ground because that is, we have very unforgiving soils here in New Jersey, or at least in my neck of the woods. There's some better soils in other places. It's very heavy clay. It will seal over. It's not so much of a crust. It just gets hard. And you just have to be really, really careful. So knowing what time of the year it is, plus what's ahead of us in the next coming days, plus what you're doing right now. And a lot of times it's better to wait a few days, let it dry out, wait for that 70-degree constant afternoon temp, 70, 80-degree constant temperatures to get that seed in the ground, because the nighttime temperatures, if they drop below 40 degrees, that's going to drop your temperature lower and cause the ground to get hard. At least here it does. So yeah, there's just a lot of things. I see that solar scam on the other side of the fence. That's true. That was my uncle's idea. I had nothing to do with it. I personally would love to see them torn out. Yeah. John Stevens, Maple Grove Farms, who Wes has mentioned before. Yeah, he really, John Stevens is pretty smart too. He's a lot like me. Tell it as it is. I don't give a damn about anybody else. If you don't like it, go fuck yourself, kind of a thing. Disc and field covenant. Yeah. Glyphosate it doesn't do anything to the worms. Nothing. Glyphosate is a salt. Like sulfosinate is a salt. Most herbicides are a salt, a type of salt. Glyphosate inhibits I think it's photosynthesis. No, it's not photosynthesis. It inhibits the growth of the plant, and then it dies because it can't grow, or the photosynthesis, whatever. It does something. I can't remember what it does. The mode of action it eludes me at the moment. But yeah, no, it doesn't do anything. Once it hits the ground, it's done. It dissolves. It's gone. What's profit? Profit is what you get when it's profit. Well, profit. Yeah, I may have spelled that wrong. Profit. Yeah, profit is what I am. I'm a prophet. No, but profit. I spelled it wrong. So that's what it is. Somebody called me an idiot for that. Well, you know what? I don't care if I spelled it wrong. You knew what the fuck I was talking about, you jackass. But anyways, that's enough. 41 minutes of this is enough to make people cry. And yeah. There was one comment that I really wanted to read, but the prick deleted it. He had to, because you know what it is? He was pissed off that I said that Democrats should just slip into a tub of caustic soda. Yeah, I really wanted to find. It's not here. It's not there. Damn it! That was what I really wanted to read. But anyways, thanks for watching. Have a nice day. And Teresa says, bend over, buddy. Check these gloves out. She's going to do a body cavity search. Right. Oh! Yeah. What are you doing with those things?
I'm